好，你好，我学了6个月的中文，和现在我会说一点儿普通话。And I'm going to tell you guys all about the last 6 months. But first, coffee. And might I say, if it wasn't for my commitment to video this whole process, I probably would have given up at about week number 5. So I just recommend anybody who's serious about wanting to learn another language, document it with video. Even if you're not going to post it, it really keeps me accountable. So a couple things I've noticed, even with my Spanish journey, I never really did this, but it's worth doing now, is defining what fluency even is. Some people will say that they're fluent after achieving a 100-day streak on Duolingo. They'll say they are fluent in that language, and that's just not going to be true. Other people won't say they're fluent even when they're at a near native level. But I don't even remember where I saw it, but somebody defined fluent as learning more from a language by using it rather than studying it. A little coffee cam action. Actually, I wanted a hazelnut latte because she's basic. But yeah, I really liked that. So moving forward, in my book, you are fluent in a language if you can learn more from utilizing that language rather than spending that time to just simply study the language. So the main points we're going to cover today, it has been 6 months since I started my Mandarin Chinese journey. We're going to talk about, number 1 is speaking and listening. Then we're going to cover writing, and finally reading. Okay, so the big one when it comes to learning a language is obviously speaking. Recently, I signed up for Pimsleur, which is kind of like a podcast-esque style of learning. It's advertised that you don't need to do any writing, and I believe that's true. I just like to write. I like to see the pinyin, because sometimes with the pronunciation, it's really hard to tell if it's pronounced with a J or a G, for example. So I keep this notebook here. I'll show you some notes, but I like to listen. The first time I listen to the lesson, I go through and I write as much as I can. And then after the lesson, I'll go back through, double check the pinyin, make sure all the accent marks are correct, all the tones. And then I'll go through and write out all the Chinese characters. So this is what that looks like. It's actually kind of fun to go back through this and just take a look at how much I've learned, because this all seems so elementary, and I remember having no idea. I would always mistake 可是 and 还是, and I still kind of do, but it's not so serious now. But yeah, so this is what I would do. So I would basically go through, and then I would just write out in pinyin what I'm saying, or what I'm listening to, and then I would go back after the lesson, make sure that the pinyin is correct, make sure that all these tones are correct, and then I would figure out the characters for those and write those out. And then, as you can see, fairly quickly, I've only done like 22 lessons or so with Pimsleur, and you can see fairly quickly you start stringing together some long sentences, and there's nothing more motivating than hearing a sentence that you have to repeat in your target language and then just repeating it and being correct. So this is kind of what it sounds like when you're doing a Pimsleur lesson.
请说
But my wife is in America.
可是我的太太在美国。
可是我的太太在美国。
Right? It's good. I mean, we're getting somewhere finally, guys. It's been a long 6 months.
试试说
She is going to take a plane.
她要坐飞机去。
他要坐飞机去。
She is going to take a plane to Hong Kong.
她要坐飞机去香港。
他要坐飞机去香港。
香港 tones. Those tones will get you guys. Gotta watch out for those tones. 香港 香港
Ask me how many people there are in my family.
你家里 有几个人？
你家里有几个人？
你家里有几个人？我会说一点普通话。
We have 2 younger sons.
我们有2个小儿子。
我们有2个小儿子。2个小儿子。
2个小儿子。
请说。
I can speak a little.
我会说一点儿。
我会说一点儿。
And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Chinese speakers. This is kind of a northeastern accent, right? I hear the R, like that hard R, on like out of Beijing. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? I kind of want to learn the most general Mandarin that I can. So if you're hearing anything that I should stay away from, go ahead and comment below. Thank you. 谢谢你。
Say that you understand what she is saying.
我明白你说什么。
我明白你说什么。
请说。
3 people.
3个人。
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 现在试试说。
There are 5 people in our family.
我们家里有5个人。
我们家里有5个人。
我们家里我5个人，我5个人。
请问
Where is the bathroom?
洗手间在哪儿？ That's an important one.
洗手间在哪儿？
If there's ever a phrase you can remember in a foreign language, you should go with the bathroom.
Wait 1 moment.
等一会儿，
等一会儿。
等一会儿，等一会儿。
Ask me if I would like to go to Hong Kong.
你想去香港吗？
你想去香港吗？
或你想不想去香港？
你想不想去香港？
And just the way that Pimsleur is set up, I can kind of anticipate when, in Chinese, if you're asking a yes or no question, it can end with ma, or you can go like 想不想, I don't know how to describe that. I'm not a great learner and I'm a terrible teacher, so but there's these patterns and you really do start to think in that way. I wish I had done something like this sooner with Spanish to get to a more advanced speaking level sooner. So my goal with these, ideally you should do one every single day. I'm kind of a stickler for perfection, which is not a good thing to be when you're learning a language because you're just not going to be perfect. So I'll often do the course and then the next day I'll listen to it again, like while I'm in the car driving to and from work or at the gym. And then sometimes I've done a lesson 3 or 4 times even. And I'm trying to hold myself to one a day. Still, every once in a while, it's like one every other day. Sometimes there's even a couple days in between there because like life just happens sometimes, and there's other commitments to make. So that is where we're at as far as speaking goes. Please do comment below any errors, or if you guys have more sources. I love YouTube University. Like, I'm gonna get a PhD from here because there is so much good information that is free to access on YouTube. I might link a couple of the channels that I've been frequenting. Lao Shu always gives me motivation. Xiaoma, New York City, NYC. That I always like to listen, watch those videos before I jump into a lesson just to spike my motivation. Keeps the morale high. But yeah, go ahead, please do let me know in the comments. And let's talk a little bit about writing. Okay, so when it comes to writing, I'm sure it's this way with other character-based languages, but with Chinese, when you have a character, there's a proper stroke order in which you should write that character. That is not where my focus is at. As far as my goal goes for learning Chinese, I'll get there. I do also realize how seldomly I'll actually have to write the language out. And I'm more focused on being understood than being right at this point. So if I can sacrifice a couple details for speed, I'll come back and I'll clean up the mess later. What that means, all I'm trying to say here is that I'm less focused on stroke order because I'm less focused on actually being able to write. What I'll often do if I'm at the gym, like on the bike, and I'm listening to one of those Pimsleur courses, as we go through, I'll include a screenshot. I type out the pinyin. I'll include a little video right here while I'm talking. I'll type out the pinyin so that I can recognize the character. So I'm sounding it out with the letters there, and then the correct pinyin pops up. I can click that, and then and then I would also like to be able to read. Again, as far as speed goes, I'm only focused on simplified Chinese at this point. I'm not too concerned with learning all the traditional characters as I go, and I'm not sure if there's any regional differences. That's a good question. If you guys could answer that. Do the characters at all change region to region with Mandarin, with Putonghua? Do they change? Could Xiancai have different characters in simplified Chinese up in Beijing as well as down in like Hong Kong or Guangzhou or something? Because that I genuinely don't know. So yeah, I'm more focused on being able to type in pinyin and correctly assign the characters, and then also read simplified Chinese. I am not so focused on stroke order and making sure my calligraphy is on point, because it's 2020 and I just don't see myself handwriting stuff often. And if I need to, I think I could get the message across, even though a native speaker might watch me write it and think like, what a stupid Westerner who doesn't know how to properly write the order. That's just not where my goals are now. That could change in the future, but as far as getting to where I'd like to be, I'm less focused in that. Which brings me to the next part. As far as reading goes, in the 3-month update, I promised a book review, and that book review is going to happen, but just not on this video because it's going to be quite a bit longer. And I think I'm actually going to start... Hold me to this in the comments, guys. I'm going to start doing maybe like every other week. So my next progress video won't be out until 3 months from now. I'll do a 9-month progress. But I'd like to, like every other week, maybe I might say one this month just so I don't bite off more than I can chew. But because these books, these Chinese Breeze, this is a level 1, so 300 word level. Zuo. Thank you. Somebody in the last video corrected my... pronunciation a little bit, but it goes through. I'll just show you. Okay, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, 错. This is a book about 2 twin girls. One of them dies, and they're trying to figure out who the dead one is. So it's all in, Chinese, which makes sense, guys. It's a Chinese book. And then down at the bottom, they do have, as you learn more vocab, they do have that in the bottom, so that you can kind of learn as you go. But then at the very end of the story, and then so they have... Is that not focusing? Why does that not want to focus? And so at the very end, this is all of the new vocab that you learn, and boy, is it a lot. 74 worth mentioning. There are more that I had to look up as I'm going through the book. And then at the end, there's even like a little, like a quiz, like a test that you can go through, and it asks, you got multiple choice. Oh, and then there's even true or false, to again further test the reader's comprehension. And there's a lot worth mentioning in these books. And if you have other reading tools or resources, please do go ahead and let me know down below, because again, a big goal, although I don't really care so much for writing, I do want to be able to read at a somewhat proficient level. So whatever that means, I guess we'll figure it out as I go. But that is it. So that's where I'm at as far as speaking goes. That's where I'm at as far as writing, and how I'm less concerned on writing, more concerned with reading. And then be on the lookout. Probably in the next week or so, I'll have a 做 book review, and I might even know how to say book review by then in Mandarin. So again, please go ahead, comment below if you're learning Chinese. What's one thing that helped you stay motivated? If you have any YouTube channels or other sources, what was a big catalyst? What kept you going? What kept your head in the game? Also, any major sources that you're a big fan of, and go ahead, fix all my errors as far as pronunciation and tones go. That's going to be a work in progress till I die. I've just accepted that, and I look forward to continuing this journey. I will do a 9-month update, so be on the lookout for book reviews until then, but 9-month update coming. Well, I'm going to say soon, but I mean, it's 3 months from now. That's how math works. So thanks for watching, and 再见!